Hello there you guys, welcome to another one of my live videos, and today I'm just going to be officially updating you on some more current latest news. So if you do consider drop your likes, and if you do consider subscribe to the channel as always. So there's big talking points as I've been updating you on a regular basis is in relation to Paul Pogba. Of course there has been a lot of talks about him, possibly making a move to Real Madrid this summer of course as well. But I just think Manchester United saying basically that Paul Pogba is not for sale, and if any offers do come for Paul Pogba this summer, Manchester United, will currently turn them down, of course, as well. Recent reports have indicated that Paul Pogba has turned down a contract offer from Manchester United, reportedly. But Paul Pogba still remains under contract with Manchester United till 2021. So he's obviously got over 2 years left on his current contract term as Paul Pogba. But there's a lot of talks coming out from the Spanish press, of course. I heard about last week, of course, as well. There's been a lot of talks going on that reportedly Paul Pogba does want to leave Manchester United this summer, reportedly, because he has made a decision on his Manchester United future, reportedly, as well. And talks have been going on. So reportedly Zinedine Zidane obviously is a big admirer of Paul Pogba, as we all know, as well, because obviously now Zinedine Zidane's got a contract around Madrid till 2022. It's his second spell in charge, and obviously he's playing for investment in that Real Madrid squad this summer. I think he's going to get around £100 million to spend this summer. I think this is what Florentino Perez is currently giving him. He's identified a few tags. He's been interesting, obviously interested in Eden Hazard. I think Mbappe has been mentioned as well, at Mane, but obviously he's identified Paul Pogba as a potential target, of course, as well. And Zinedine Zidane has been speaking about Paul Pogba as well, saying that he likes him a lot and all that. And obviously Zinedine knows him personally, of course, as well, and did suggest out, that Paul Pogba could leave Manchester United, and make a move to Real Madrid, of course, as well. But obviously we know that Paul Pogba, last week and all that was it, he was speaking a lot about, Real Madrid, of course, well, saying that, he described them as a dream club. He says they're one of the biggest clubs in the world, and he said Madrid is a dream for anyone. So obviously this could have concerns, for Ole Gunnar Solskjaer and Manchester United, what Paul Pogba said, about Real Madrid, of course, as well. And, what he said, it's indicated that he's not intending on spending the rest of his playing career in England, of course, as well. But we also know that his agent Riley, obviously in the process of finding him a new club, of course. His agent Riley himself has had a couple of conversations, with Real Madrid, of course, as well. I think, he mentioned in his conversations of Paul Pogba's desire to swap Old Trafford, for the Bernabeu, of course, as well. There's been a lot of talk, going on about it, of course, as well. Obviously, Manchester United wouldn't want to lose him. There's been Madrid are prepared to put 100. Obviously, the rich club, and obviously, they could afford, Paul Pogba's wages and stuff, and obviously, of course, as well. And obviously, he did say Paul Pogba would demand an annual wage around 14 million if he was to join Real Madrid. So this would make him the highest paid player, and obviously, he's demanding significant pay rise, of course, as well. But obviously, his performance mainly improved, under Ole Gunnar Solskjaer. Of course, I know he put a bad performance out yesterday. Sorry guys about that, just interfered. I know he put a bad performance out yesterday, Paul Pogba put a really bad performance out yesterday. He looks very ineffective indeed, but overall his performances have really improved under Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, of course, as well. And he's been one of our most influential players, of course, as well as Paul Pogba. We paid £89 million for him from Juventus back in 2016. Of course, it's his third season now in the process with Manchester United. Of course, he's our most expensive signing. He has been rumours that he could potentially make a return back to Italy, as well, where he did have 4 good years with Juventus, of course, as well, but he didn't put a good performance out yesterday against Watford, of course, as well, did Paul Pogba, of course, as well. But there has been rumours, about him being linked to a move to Real Madrid, of course, there has been a lot of talk, going on about it, as we all know as well. But Zinedine Zidane, does admire Paul Pogba, of course, and there's also been reports coming out of the media saying now, obviously, Solskjaer was reflecting on the Watford game yesterday. It was good to see Manchester United, and it was good to see Solskjaer get his first win in his first match as permanent Manchester United boss, as well. But the performance was below par, of course, as well. But now, obviously, Paul Pogba was poor yesterday. Solskjaer's come out and I think he's, considering, rotating Paul Pogba, and I think I think Paul Pogba's role is set to change. So I think he's considering a tactical shift for Paul Pogba. So I think now Ole Gunnar Solskjaer is considering, putting Paul Pogba in more like of a defensive role, to be quite honest with you as well. And that's what Manchester United need to strengthen up, because we do need a centre defensive midfielder that's fast and tenacious, of course, in the summer, of course, as well. But overall, it was a bad performance yesterday for Manchester United, as we all know, even though we still got the win, which was the most essential thing, to keep our top 4 ambitions alive, of course, as well. But there was a lot of bad individual performances, out on that pitch. I thought there wasn't enough determination. I don't think there was enough tempo in the game. I thought it was very slow, very lethargic. I thought the midfield looked totally ineffective. I thought our midfield got overrun, to be quite honest here, as well. So now, obviously, based on Paul Pogba's poor showing, that he showed yesterday. Ole Gunnar Solskjaer is considering, rotating Paul Pogba. Obviously now with him doing this, probably, this could actually, cost us against Barcelona, of course, as well. But I thought the two best players on the pitch against Watford, yesterday, were Luke Shaw. I thought Luke Shaw was very immense, and Luke Shaw, he's getting better, to be quite honest. I thought Smalling, did okay as well in the game, but I thought there was a lot of bad individual performances. Rashford, it was good to see him get his name on the score sheet, of course, Marcus Rashford, but I think since he's recovered from that ankle injury, he hasn't been playing to his potential best, so he hasn't been playing 100%, because we know he uses like lightning, he likes to get them runs in behind, of course, as Marcus Rashford as well. I don't think Martial's movement, was that good either, even though he did get his name on the score sheet, but they are still both young, they have got great talent, of course, as well, and for the majority of the game, we're on the back foot, and, Watford had a lot of chance in the game, they created a lot of chances, of course, but I think the difference was, as I do keep saying, was the finishing in the final third, of course, as well, because, we took our chances, Watford didn't take theirs, so Watford, just weren't clinical enough, to be quite honest with you, as well, but we know we need a better performance on Tuesday night against Wolves, of course, as well, so what I would recommend Ole Gunnar Solskjaer basically to do is to potentially, make some changes, of course, alter it a bit, to be quite honest with you as well, so I want Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, to make some changes against Wolves on Tuesday night. In my opinion, I want Ashley Young to be dropped, even though obviously he's our first choice right back, of course, because obviously Ashley Young was very, very poor as well, and I think he's getting exploited far too easily now on that flank. He must have lost the possession about 20 times in that Watford game yesterday, of course, as well. So I would drop Ashley Young for Wolves, and I'd put Diego Dalot at right back, to be quite honest. So even though he looks effective, when he plays more of an attacking role, Diego Dalot, because when he was playing attackively, before he looked very, very effective indeed. So I would potentially, drop Ashley Young, to be quite honest with you, against Wolves. Obviously, Lindelof should be back into contention, to play against Wolves as well. And mainly has been going with Lindelof and Chris Smalling as centre-back partnership. So Lindelof should be back for Tuesday night, of course, as well. I also, I think, Romelu Lukaku, obviously he didn't play against Watford. And we know mainly he's regained his position back in the team most recently, Romelu Lukaku. And he has looked very, very effective, alongside Marcus Rashford, to be quite honest with you as well. I think Lukaku does perform better, when he's getting that support up front. I think he looks more effective indeed, and recently he has been in really, really good form, just recovered from an ankle injury, of course, as well as Romelu Lukaku. So I do want Solskjaer, to make some changes, to be quite honest with you. On Tuesday, I'd actually like to see Nemanja Matic drop, to be quite honest with you, as well, because the midfield was very, very poor against Watford. Nemanja Matic, I think overall he has improved, since Ole Gunnar Solskjaer's come in, Nemanja Matic, to be quite honest with you as well. But I'm going to be really, really honest with you guys, to be quite honest, since he's recovered from his injury, Nemanja Matic has been poor. He's very, very slow. I have got strong reservations about him. He's not playing to the highest level anymore, so potentially I probably would drop Matic, and I'd probably give Scott McTominay the chance there, or maybe Andres Pereira the chance there, because when Manchester United did have that injury crisis, especially with the string of injuries we had in that midfield, and when Solskjaer gave the fringe players a chance to give the likes of Pereira the chance, McTominay the chance, they were very, very impressive indeed, if I'm going to be quite honest with you indeed. So he does need to make some changes for the game against Wolves on Tuesday night, of course, as well. Obviously it's going to be Ole Gunnar Solskjaer second game as permanent boss, and all in all his 21st game, of course, as well. But we do know it's not going to be an easy game, of course, as well. We do know Martial's got an injury, as we all know. Obviously more things he's going to update on that, to be quite honest with him as well. His injury, of course, we don't know the extent of the problem, of course. Well, I think he's suffered some kind of knock. Sky Sports have reported saying that it could be a doubt, for the game on Tuesday against Wolves as well. Not too long ago, he had a groin problem as well. So hopefully that's not too severe. But I think Anthony Martial has suffered some kind of knock, to be quite honest with you as well. But I wanted to give you an update on Pogba. Pogba for me is not for sale, because Man United, want to keep him. If any offers do come in the summer, Manchester United, will turn these offers down, of course, as well. But I think Pogba, from his own perspective, is intending on making a move to Real Madrid, reportedly, as well. So there's been a lot of talks going on about it. Zinedine Zidane spoken about Paul Pogba. Paul Pogba spoken about his desire, to play for Real Madrid in his dream, and all that, as well. And potentially, Ole Gunnar Solskjaer is where that investment is needed to Manchester United in the summer, of course, now. And hopefully, Ole Gunnar Solskjaer can get the right players in the summer. Of course, we're still looking to hire a director of football, to come in as well, because obviously, we need to change the club structure and all that. But for me, Ole Gunnar Solskjaer is the right man for Manchester United, and we are going to find out if he's the right man in these 3 years, of course, as well. And obviously, his expectations levels will be, obviously, to elevate us to that higher level, get us in that commanding position where we should be, and get us up there challenging and winning trophies, of course, as well. So that's obviously going going to be Ole Gunnar Solskjaer's expectation levels in this 3-year deal he's currently signed as well. And obviously we know Solskjaer knows the club inside out, and obviously we know he's a cheap alternative, to Pochettino or Zinedine Zidane, of course, as well as Ole Gunnar Solskjaer. So for me, he's the right man for Manchester United, of course, as well. But reportedly, we're going to get around 200 odd million pounds to spend this summer. I think Ole Gunnar Solskjaer has identified, I think he's got his top 3 targets. I think we need about 3 or 4 players this summer, of course, as well. But these key areas, I think he's identified where he thinks Manchester United, of course, need to strengthen up. I think we need a potential right back. I definitely know that we need a central defender, but recent reports have basically said reportedly that Solskjaer is not interested in buying any defenders because he wants to give our current defenders a chance, to impress and prove themselves reportedly as well. So I think he's focusing on he's focusing on other areas of the squad, and he's focusing on more attacking additions to the squad, of course, as well. But I think his priority is to recommend the right winner to come to Manchester United this summer. There's still some contract renewals to sort out, don't forget, of course. Obviously we know players are going to leave Manchester United this summer, of course, as well. But obviously we need to get Champions League football for next season. So in that aspect, it makes us have more of a competitive summer transfer window, of course, as well. But we've got to get the right players in the summer. Obviously we know we've got to get the recruitment definitely right, of course, as well. But we do know that because obviously we didn't spend out in January, we didn't spend much last summer, of course. So it's essential that we do have a good summer transfer window, of course, as well. So I'm going to give you some updates on some transfer rumours that are going on. As I did update you guys on my last video, of course, as well. One of Solskjaer's prime targets is Crystal Palace's Aaron Wan-Bissaka. I do want to give you an update on. Reports have been coming out saying that Manchester United are preparing to put a bid in the region of around £35 million, for Aaron Wan-Bissaka. Of course, he's young. He's 21 years of age, of course, as well. And I think potentially, if I'm going to be quite honest with you guys, if I'm going to be deadly honest with you, I think he's got the ability. I think he's got the ability. I think his defensive capabilities are good, but I think he's got the ability, to elevate Manchester United, in the next 2 to 3 years, of course, because he has got a lot of years ahead of him, as Aaron Wan-Bissaka. Of course, he's a right back, as well. And I think he would be the perfect successor, to Antonio Valencia, of course. And I think he's a good upgrade to Antonio Valencia because we do know that Antonio, Valencia is on his way out of Manchester United this summer because he's 33. Obviously now he's coming to an end of his contract at the end of the season, so he's set to leave in the summer. Of course, is Antonio Valencia. Of course, well, he served 10 years at Manchester United, of course, as well. But I do think, he would be a good upgrade, to Antonio Valencia. But Ashley Young there, of course, who's 33, 1 year extension expires. He'll be nearly 35 years of age, of course, as well. Will Ashley Young. So I do think Ashley Young is definitely on his way out of Manchester United. Probably will go when when he's coming 1 year contract extension expires as well. He's been here 7-8 years now at Manchester United, as we all know, as Ashley Young, of course, as well. So I think he's on his way out of Manchester United, is Ashley Young, but probably when his 1 year contract extension expires. But we do need someone at that right back. We need someone young and ambitious on that right hand side, and that's one of the areas that does need addressing. To be quite honest here, as well. So reports are coming out about Aaron Wan-Bissaka. Man United are reportedly preparing to put a £35 million bid in for him. So far, he has spent the entirety of his career, with Crystal Palace, but he's only 21. He only broke into the senior team, last year with Crystal Palace, of course, as well. And he obviously progressing up Crystal Palace's youth system and all that. He is only very, very young. I think he's made about 34 appearances for Crystal Palace. I think Crystal Palace, value him at around £40 million, reportedly, something like that, as well. So reportedly, Manchester United have showed an interest in, but I think Solskjaer's identified his top 3 targets. I think it's Aaron Wan-Bissaka of Palace, Declan Rice of West Ham, and Borussia Dortmund's Jadon Sancho. And reportedly did say they could cost us in the total of up to £178 million, reportedly, as well. So Man United reportedly set to put a £35 million bid in for Crystal Palace's Aaron Wan-Bissaka, of course, as well. And reportedly his performances have been very, very good, for Crystal Palace, of course, as well. So Manchester United are linked with him, of course, and we do know that West Ham's Declan Rice has also, been mentioned as well. He's been mentioned in the media, of course, as well as Declan Rice. West Ham player signed a contract with West Ham back in December till 2024. As we all know, where Declan Rice has had a good breakthrough season, with West Ham, of course, as well. I think he can play as a centre back, but I think he's actually, mainly a holding midfielder, to be quite honest with you, as well. He's Declan Rice. So reportedly, Manchester United have also showed an interest in him, and it's good that Solskjaer is monitoring, young players, of course, as well. It would be ideal to get some young players, that could grow, develop, and more, because it does seem to be a lot of the experience women's players, that are causing us a problems, to be quite honest with you, as well. But yeah, Declan Rice has also been mentioned, and we do know obviously the club's priority target is obviously Borussia Dortmund's Jadon Sancho, of course. Manchester United heavily linked with Jadon Sancho, and I do really, really like him. He shows that ability to attack. He can score goals, and we do need someone that can play between the bylines and put crosses into the box. And this is what Jadon Sancho, is capable of doing. To be quite honest with you, he's still on the contract with Borussia Dortmund until 2022. He's had a great couple of years with Borussia Dortmund. He's done fantastically well in Germany. His performances have been absolutely fantastic indeed. Of Jadon Sancho, of course. Obviously, we do know that I think if he is to be sold this summer, Manchester United could end up paying a nine-figure sum of around £100 million for Jadon Sancho. Obviously, we've got the financial power, to meet his valuation, of course, as well. So potentially Manchester United, maybe still believe that we can land him for around £80 million, of course. Well, but it did say Man United officials have been in contact with Jadon Sancho's representatives, of course, as well. So we do know that Manchester United have been heavily linked to him. Obviously, he's a former Manchester City player, of course, where he did serve a couple of years. But if we were to get him in the summer, it'd make him our most expensive signing probably, and make him obviously the most expensive English footballer ever, of course, indeed. But he's been heavily linked with a move to Old Trafford, and I think it's the club's number one priority target, of course, as well. But he's mainly a winger. He's only just turned 19 years of age, of course, as well. So Jadon Sancho has got a lot of years ahead of him, as we all know, as well. But there's been a lot of talks going on about it. It's attracted interest, from quite a few other teams, as well as Jadon Sancho. I think PSG have also been interested in him, as well. But I highly rate him. Borussia Dortmund, have been known, for doing business with their current players, of course, as well. But I think he's the club's number one priority target, as we all know, as well. So there's been a lot of talk, I think there's a narrative that's been going on about now, at least for the past 4 or 5 weeks, or something like that, as well. So there's been a lot of talks, going on about that. Obviously, we do know as well, the good finish, they're all British as well. Aaron Wan-Bissaca's British, Declan Rice is British, Jadon Sancho's British, and they're all upcoming futures, as well, and they've all got talent, and they're all very, very young, indeed. So I think they are Solskjaer's top 3 targets. Callum Hudson-Odoi has also been mentioned as well, at Chelsea, of course, as well. He's only 18 years of age, again, British. He's one of England's youngest upcoming talents as well as Callum Hudson-Odoi. But I think, our pursuit of Callum Hudson-Odoi, or any chance of us getting him, could be in jeopardy, because Chelsea won't want to lose him this summer, of course, as well, considering they've got a transfer ban especially. And he's only 18 years of age, of course, as well as Callum Hudson-Odoi. Obviously, it was Bayern Munich's top priority, back in the January transfer window. Bayern Munich held talks. Bayern Munich had a host of bids turned down. Bayern Munich willing to offer him the number 10 shirt, of course, as well. Because obviously, Arjen Robben's set to leave Bayern Munich at the end of the season, of course, as well. And Bayern Munich have got quite a few aging up players, maybe looking to get some young players, that could grow, develop, and mould in their team. But obviously, back in January, Bayern Munich's top priority, was Chelsea's Callum Hudson-Odoi, as we all know, as well. But I think a few teams have expressed an interest in him now. It said Manchester United had entered the race. I think Liverpool have held negotiations, with Callum Hudson-Odoi's agent, as well, over a summer transfer. But obviously, Callum Hudson-Odoi, has got strong reservations about his game time with Chelsea, because obviously, he hasn't started a game yet in the Premier League this season, of course. Well, he maybe wanted to go to a team, where he can get first team football, week in, week out, Callum Hudson-Odoi, as well. And he still remains under contract with Chelsea till 2020, as we all know as well. I think Chelsea in the process still trying to convince him to sign a new deal. I think Chelsea are willing to offer him a new contract worth around £100,000 a week, or something like that, as well. So reportedly Manchester United, have showed an interest in him. I think if Chelsea are willing to negotiate, Chelsea demanding that they want around £43 million for Callum Hudson-Odoi, as well. So reportedly Manchester United have also showed an interest in him, as well. But he's only 18 years of age, don't forget. He has got a lot of years ahead of him, as we all know, as well. So we have heard about that, guys, to be quite honest with you, as well. And obviously, other targets, we do know that Manchester United have also, been interested as well, as I've been currently, updating you on, as well. Obviously, there's been other targets as well. What's the other targets we've been interested in? Has obviously, been, Bruno Fernandes, Sporting Lisbon midfielder, of course. Well, I think Solskjaer's been keen on getting him in. His name's been mentioned a couple of times in the phrase. Bruno Fernandes, Sporting Lisbon midfielder, Portuguese, 24 years of age, as we all know. I think he's got a release clause of £90 million in his deal with Sporting Lisbon. been. He did actually spend the majority of his career, in Italy. Did Bruno Fernandes. He played for Udinese, he played for San Pandora, of course, as well. But reportedly, his performances this season for Sporting Lisbon have been very, very good, indeed. But I think he's got a release clause of 90 million. I think he's still under contract with Sporting Lisbon until 2023, and that as well. But yeah, reportedly Manchester United have also showed an interest in Bruno Fernandes, so his name has also been mentioned as well. I think he's only young, he's got a lot of years ahead of him, as well. And obviously we're keen on adding depth in that midfield, especially if Herrera is to, of course, leave Manchester United, of course, as well. And so there's been quite a few targets, that Manchester United have been interested in, of course, as well. But we've got to get the right players in the summer. That's the most essential thing, of course, as well. To be quite honest, we still possibly sign a centre back this summer, because recent reports have said that Solskjaer's not interested in buying any central defenders this summer, because he wants to give our current defenders a chance to prove and impress themselves. But of course, we need someone that can go alongside Victor Lindelof, of course, as well. Bay's been in and out of the team this season, but he's still got great potential, but his future's uncertain. Jones' future's uncertain with the club. Rojo could be on his way out in the summer as well, because his Manchester United career has been affected, with the amount of injuries Marcus Rojo has currently suffered as well. So he's enjoyed a difficult time at Manchester United, as we all know. And I think Diamond, of course, is also on his way out of Manchester United this summer as well. But yeah, players are definitely going to leave Manchester United this summer, as we all know, as well. So obviously we know investment is needed, and we've got to get the right players to Manchester United this summer as well, which is very, very essential indeed. But obviously more things will update on the Wolves Manchester United game. I'll probably preview will be coming up for that either later on tonight, or it will be tomorrow sometime, of course, as well. But Pogba is. As we do know, sorry guys about that interference. We do know that there's still some contract renewals to sort out as well. So that's mainly everything to update again. Drop your comments, likes below on the channel.